And Nigeria's consumer price inflation has maintained its upward trend in November, increasing to 11.85% from 11.61% in October. Our data from the National Bureau of Statistics released today shows the headline index, however, declined on a month-on-month basis to 1.02% from 1.07%. Food sub-index rose 14.48%, while core sub-index climbed to 8.99%. Let's hear more from one of the research analysts with financial derivatives company, Fumi Adebowale. Hello, Fumi. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Now, the NBS released its inflation report this morning. The year-on-year headline rate increased by about 0.24%. And this is the third consecutive monthly increase and coincides with the 4-month border closure. Is there a correlation between the border closure and the inflation trend?
Yes, it is true that the border closure contributed to rising inflation in Nigeria in the last 3 months. If you look at the Nigerian economy, it is highly dependent on imported and smuggled products. So the immediate impact of the border closure was the border closure created a sort of supply shortages, which local farmers were not able to fill, the gap which local farmers were not able to fill immediately, and that led to an increase in the price of commodities such as rice. So when you talk about headline inflation, we are comparing the change in the price of commodities in November 2019 and November 2018. So a bag of rice as at November 2018 was sold for about 13 to 14,000. But at November 2019, a 50 kg bag of imported rice was sold for about 25 to 27,000. So the increase in the price of these commodities led to a rise in headline inflation for the third consecutive month. But if you look at the month-on-month inflation, we see that it declined to about 1.02% from 1.07% last month. And that suggests that the impact of the border closure is now reducing because the month-on-month inflation reveals the current price of commodities. So we could see that the impact of the border closure has started reducing. But beyond border closure effects, there are other factors that have contributed to rising inflation, in November 2019, and that is an increase in liquidity in the system due to lower interest rates. And we also see that some of the states have started paying the new minimum wage, and that will increase consumer disposable income, it will increase aggregate demand, and it will also increase liquidity in the system. So these factors put together led to an increase in headline inflation in November.
Now, urban inflation has risen faster than rural inflation. This is happening at a time when the national average price of PMS and diesel have declined to about 145 naira per litre and 126 naira per litre. What is responsible for this contradiction?
So in the past years, we've seen a divergence between urban inflation and rural inflation. And this is because, most of the food items produced in the country are being produced in the rural areas and they are transported to the urban centers where the markets are. So you're going to add the cost of logistics to the cost of production, and that increases price in the urban centers. So with the reduction in logistic costs, in price of petrol and diesel, we expect the cost of transportation to decline, and that should reflect in urban inflation. But this wasn't so. So that suggests that there are other factors, that contribute to that determine the price of commodities in the urban centers. So if you look at most of the commodities that are being imported into the country, they are being consumed in the urban centers. So with an increase in price of these commodities, definitely we expect urban inflation to keep rising.
Thank you, Fumi, for your time.